Level up your LA Kings experience with Vivid Seats Elite Seats. All the on-ice Kings action with even more exclusive access and rewards. Enjoy great seats to the game in Section 103 along with Yamava Club access and parking included with your purchase. Plus, get a free Team LA Kings shop item at the game. Score your Vivid Seats Elite Seats tickets today and earn perks on each purchase from the only leading ticket company with a rewards program. Experience it live with Vivid Seats, the official partner of the LA Kings. Did you know the LA Kings have their own culinary partner? It's Superfood, celebrating 10 years and over 1 million meals served. Since 2020, the Kings have trusted Superfood to fuel their players. Now through Simply Lunch, you can bring that same performance-driven food to your office. Because when people eat better, they work better. Visit mysuperfood.com. That's mysuperfd.com. Or call 213-973-6145. Qualified companies can enjoy a free lunch for up to 10 managers.
Holds it in right on the blue line, right point to Kempe. Ashmark's right wing. Threads it to Kopitar. Right circle to Panarin. One-timer. He scores!
You're listening to All the Kings Men, the official podcast of the LA Kings.
Out of the box comes Cole. Panarin steps in. Panarin right circle. Shoots. Had his stick lifted. Then toward the goal. They score! Panarin swung it in.
Now, here's your host, Jesse Cohen.
All right, it is Monday morning. That means it's time to crown a King of the Week. Here to join me this week to help me out, Anna Connelly. How are you doing today, Anna?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm excellent. Now, for those who may not know you by name alone, I don't know what your title is. I always just say the person who does the updates at intermission.
No, that's
in
so
the building
valid.
During home games.
So
I
think it started as that. I will say I've finessed some more work from the org, so I'll pat myself on the back on that.
Stuff now.
Yeah. I do some social, so if you follow at LA Kings on social, you'll see my face. I'm so sorry. But I do the 1660 edits and then anything else that they need. I host Kings 360, which is kind of a monthly roundup of everything going on in the organization. You can catch that on YouTube or KCAL. And then ultimately, I think my correct title, if we had to give a title, I'm an in-arena reporter and host.
That works. And you also occasionally do the live, the second screen.
Yes, we do that. Yeah, the watch
that either, but the watch alongs. Yeah,
chaos that is me and Kayla and whoever else just yapping.
My favorite thing to do, by the way, whenever I realize one of those is happening, and apologies, I'm not the audience for that. I'd rather watch the game, but I will watch for a few minutes and then text whether it's Mikey or Jared and just be like, close the laptop or, stop looking at the TV or whatever, just to see how long.
And that makes you a great coworker because I love feedback. So anytime somebody turns on anything whenever I'm on screen and they say, hey, fix your hair. Mm-hmm. Hey, you got something in your teeth. Hey, sit up straight. I'll have my brother will tune in sometimes and he'll comment on the YouTube chat and he'll be like, fix your posture.
Right.
Like, thank you, younger brother. I appreciate it. So
I do that stuff. I had to stop myself finally from texting Hoover and being like, why is the sound not synced up to the video? Because it's probably my stream, not his fault. But anyway. Okay, so we're going to do King of the Week. This is a 4-game week, which is rare, but not, it doesn't never happen. It was, I'm going to say a disappointment only because it was a homestand and 1 road game after that really good road trip. So it's 4 games, and we're going to start with you for your honorable mention for this week.
Well, 4 of 6 points on that week, which again seems to be kind of the theme, right? Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we love wins. To be that nuisance, I guess. Points do get you into the playoffs. So overtime losses, 2 of them this week after Sunday. My honorable mention, it's this week because I think for me, I got to say, obviously 2 away games and hockey TV doesn't do hockey justice. And especially when you're covering a team and you're covering a sport, it's so much better to see in person. So the 2 home games we had Thursday and Saturday, the physicality of this team really stood out to me. I think earlier on in the season, there were times where, what is this identity of this team? Who is this team? I think preseason, we thought the team was going to be physical, bigger, stronger, just laying on the heat. And I think we kind of have seen that emerge, at least in the month of March, whether you want it to be the month of March or the DJ Smith era. I did bring stats.
They coincide. So,
statistics. So
all right.
Since DJ Smith took over, it's the hits per 60. That is
Mhm.
my honorable mention of the week.
Okay.
We saw in Sunday's game in Utah, 31 hits. Buffalo's game on Saturday, 27 hits. In the 11 games that the LA Kings have played in the month of March, they're averaging 25.52 hits per 60, which in the month of March puts them at second in the entire NHL. So it's not bad. It's not a bad stat.
I wish I had, and I don't even know how to track this or if this is even a stat, but I wish I knew whether or not that stat was a function of increased physicality or the other team having the puck more. Because ordinarily, if you see a lot of hits, for decades it was like, oh, hits good. But then the analytics evolution happened and people started going, ooh, lots of hits,
Puck
maybe
possession.
not necessarily good because it means the other team has the puck. But the way that the team plays under DJ Smith, I'm inclined to believe it's not necessarily just because the other team has the puck, because the Kings do have the puck a lot.
Well, I think
in
the
the
whole
DJ
vibe
Smith
shift,
era.
right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
those two home games, that's why I'm saying you
Mhm.
see that in the two home games. And I'm up in the press box for the first two periods. And then I always try to make an effort to go watch at ice level
Mhm.
for the third period because there's just nothing like it. You
Totally.
know, and you got to take advantage of the credential. I mean, I'm getting paid to go sit
For
along the
sure.
grass. I stand along
Yep.
the grass. Are you kidding me? 10-year-old me would be stoked. So for me, there is just a sense of tenacity with this team that has changed. Something has altered, and it's not, it's not somebody on the screen telling you that. It's somebody witnessing that.
Now, I find it, while I do find it more entertaining, there's also part of me that's kind of annoyed by it. Where it's
Please tell.
Well, so ordinarily we try to keep these conversations about the week, but I'm going to expand it to the whole month because why not?
Which I did. I started.
But it's fine. But like when DJ Smith had his introductory press conference, he said the specter of last year's playoff is still hanging over. Did you do the little pinchy?
I did.
Okay.
I'm Gen Z, so that's how I did the clock it.
But like he said that, and part of me was like, well, that can't possibly be true. But if it is, it obviously was very simple to undo. So why, if it's that easy, if you can just change coaches and suddenly the entire team takes on a different identity and plays differently, I don't know. I just feel like that says something upsetting about the team. I don't know.
It feels different. Well, I think that's super valid. I also think, here, I'll do a little in-arena behind the scenes thing. So one of my experience with DJ Smith, I always try to be professional. I mean, whenever you're around the dressing room and the locker room area, it's always professional. Kind of keep your head down, be quiet. I'm apologetic as is. So I've actually been trying to be less apologetic about just, I'm walking to get my coffee. Sorry, guys. But one of actually, I think the last games of maybe like it was just before the Olympic break or just after, right? DJ, I was kind of walking out to go up to do my pregame hit with Zach Dooley. And this man, expletives that I probably can't share, just firing up everybody before they were walking out to warm-ups, before they were walking out to, starting lineup announcements. I mean, that dude right there, I looked at him, he was so fired up, and he kind of like was walking into me. I walked down this hallway from our little locker room that we get ready in. And I kind of waited, and then he looked at me and he just screamed at the top of his lungs, like, let's go, and gave me a fist bump. And I was like, I'm ready to run through a wall. So he does kind of have that infectious energy, which I don't need to tell you that, but just witnessing that from my perspective, he does feel like that guy that walks into a room and is just like, are we ready to do this?
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys.
I also wonder how long that effect can last. But these are broader conversations. So I'm going to go ahead, and my honorable mention is going to be Alex Laferriere, and I'm going to use your stat as an inroads to talking about him because in 4 games this week, Alex Laferriere led the team with 20 hits.
Mm-hmm.
He also was tied, if I'm not mistaken, for the team lead in points in those 5 games with 5 points, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points, 20 hits. And, you know, they talked about it. We're recording this Sunday night after the Utah game. And Jim and John made a point during the telecast to mention that they're going to need the whole team to contribute if they're going to have this successful playoff push. And a huge part right now is going to be that Byfield, Laferriere, and Moore line. Because obviously Kopitar, Kempe, and Panarin are dynamite. And the fourth line is exactly what the fourth line is. The third line is work in progress, but it's with Armia back. It's at the very least you got Lawton and Armia as 2 penalty killing guys, and then I guess the identity changes based on who the third one is. But that second line is gonna have to be something. You know, Fiala's out, Kuzmenko's out, so you got Byfield, Laferriere, and more. And especially in the Utah game, you saw Laferriere really being his Alex Laferriere-iest.
Jesse, it's so funny because that line I actually put as my runner-up.
Oh, okay. Perfect. All right. Well, then we can just transfer.
And I have the stats to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had that puck that hit the post in OT tonight, which I love that he was out there in overtime. Again, DJ Smith feels like that guy that gives players flowers. You know,
Mm-hmm.
He's like, hey, I like your, because the hockey is kind of that in between the stats sport. There are a lot of immeasurables, and he feels like that guy that pays attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
But had that filthy, disgusting goal in the first against Utah tonight. Again, Sunday night, we're recording this. Led the team with 6 hits. Led the team with 5 hits yesterday against Buffalo. And then same story on Thursday against Philadelphia with 7 hits. So dude goes down there, lays it down. I mean, Corey Perry leaves. And then on that power play, you have Alex Laferriere fill in. And it's like, granted, he's not finding the back of the net in the same sense that Perry was. But if you just watch him, next power play that the Kings are on, watch 14 in front of the net. It is chaotic. I would hate to play against this guy.
I have begun hyper fixating. This happens to me at different points in the year. I just get caught on an idea or a thought or something. The one that I'm currently obsessed with is competence versus leadership. And Alex Laferriere is preposterously competent. Like he's been asked to do every possible role and doesn't question it, doesn't balk, and hasn't looked terrible in any of them. I genuinely don't think he's a number 1 center in the National Hockey League, but he was asked to fill that role and didn't look terrible doing it, right? Like, we have seen other people who played center their entire careers brought in to play center for this organization who then did look bad doing it. Alex Laferriere was drafted, went to college, went to Harvard of all places, came up, didn't think he'd get a spot, got a spot, excelled, got himself a contract extension, is a right winger, and has, like I said, played every possible role. Penalty killer, power play, number 1 center, number 3 winger, like just everything. And all he does is look good doing it. And I don't think it's his fault that he, like you said, maybe he's not filling the net the way that some of it, like he's not a 50 goal scorer, but he will probably hit 20 on the year. He's at 18 right now. He had 19 last year. So I think it's fair to say that he's essentially a 20 goal scorer. And they're going to need that, and he's doing it.
I also think you got to look, I mean, he's not like young. Hockey now, you say young and you're like 18, 19,
right.
Matthew Schaefer. He's so young.
Young in his career.
Yeah, I mean, he's 3 years in, and it's all about experience. I have had the chance to chat with him in the dressing room a couple of times, and the number 1 time that sticks out to me is second season, so last year, I asked him a question. The first season, you could tell he wasn't like a deer in the headlights. That's a poor way to describe it, but he
I
definitely
know
was
what
like,
you mean. Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah.
I'm playing in the NHL.
Hmm.
It was surreal, right?
He
And
was,
you look,
he was a lot quieter than he is now.
yeah, he was very much, okay, tell
Hmm.
me what to do, what's up, just very much. And then his second season, you could sense there was just shoulders kind of deep breath, you
Hmm.
know? And I think I had a conversation with him that said, "Do you feel like you have the ability to be a little bit more creative this year?" And he was like, "Oh my gosh, yes. I feel just a lot more, it's not confidence, but just a lot more calm. Like, okay, I have a spot on this team. Now I can figure out who I am in the NHL." And that was kind of in not so many words.
Yeah.
This year, we're really figuring out who he is. It's just each year, it's so fun to watch him and see, okay, this is who this is who he's settling into. And
Hmm.
I'd be shocked if he doesn't have a long NHL career, because he just goes in and he does his job and he does it well and he produces. It's just ridiculous. I mean, DJ Smith says, "Hey, we got to be physical on the forecheck." I mean, he is a crazy man beneath the crease. It is ridiculous.
Hmm.
So your honorable mention, my runner up, that line,
Yeah. Well,
because
so then let's have your that line as your runner up, and we'll go into Quentin Byfield, who's my runner up,
they were
because
okay.
he's
There
the
you
center
go.
on that line. He also had 5 points. I mean, it really. I mean, that Utah game, they started to sort of emerge earlier in the week, but the Utah game they finally showed up, and so Byfield also had 5 points, 2 goals, 3 assists, +1, and more importantly, I suppose. Well, I don't know how important it is, but 64.9% in the face at the faceoff dot in those 4 games. And the one thing that line has going for it is speed. I shouldn't say the one thing. One of the things it has going for it is speed. Byfield and Laferriere can both, when they want to, turn the Jets on. And I am just going to backtrack for a second. I am constantly shocked when Alex Laferriere decides to just turn on the Jets. I always forget how fast he is. But Quentin Byfield, we know he's fast. And even though it doesn't always pay off. There was a play in I think it was the overtime game against Philadelphia, where he made a move to the outside along the right side wall and tried to come back around the other side of the net. It didn't work, but it was the kind of move that I think people have been wanting to see him make. And I wonder how much of a relief it might be for Moore and Laferriere and Byfield to know that, like, okay, Kempe, Panarin, and Kopitar, that's the top line. That's who's getting the minutes. That's what it is. Lawton, Armia, and whoever, that's your defensive specialist line. Fourth line, those are the muck and grind. That's your typical fourth line. So hey, Byfield, Laferriere, and Moore, you really just have to go and worry about offense. You really just have to worry about creating the forecheck, getting in there, trying to create shots on goal, taking over a shift, and handing it off to the next group. You don't have to carry the weight. You don't have to be. You just be who you are. And the three of them played really well earlier in the season. I don't remember exactly when it was when they were paired together, but I remember really liking it. Then they were reunited, and it hasn't necessarily looked that great in very, very recent memory, but at the end of this week, they really came on. And I think a lot of that has to do with Quentin Byfield.
They had such a formidable presence every
Mhm.
single game they played this week, and especially again in person. I'm old school because
Sure.
technology breaks all the time, and I also therapist when I was younger told me that if you write in blue pen, you'll have a better time memorizing. So I'm very
Really?
adamant about my blue pen. Yes,
Oh, okay. I'll have
I
to try
take
that.
very detailed notes. I look like a crazy person every time
Mhm.
I bring my bag up to the press box because there's papers flying everywhere. It's a little disorganized. That's okay. Um, Quentin Byfield, though, I just circled him. It's like you kind of go into games and I have my storylines that I know, but then I really try to just clear my head once the puck drops. So then you're not pushing any storylines. You're not pushing any narratives. You're just letting the story develop. those three, that line has been consistently to the point where I'm looking around saying, guys, do you see these guys? Like they are just, they have such a presence on the ice. To piggyback off of your point of Quentin Byfield, everybody should go back, look, the goal in the first period against the Flyers on Thursday. I mean, that kind of is indicative of it all. 20 seconds left on the clock, and those three made such a nice, seamless play. It was a give and go with Alex Laferriere bringing the puck into the zone on the left side lane. Quentin Byfield kind of standing up at the blue line, pass it off to Laugh up the boards, chipped it up deep into the zone. Laugh just keeps it going. It was so fluid, and they cycled the puck around the zone, and then QB just kind of stood there for a second, did a really great job. When you start playing hockey and you're, in mini mites, you're 6 years old, the number one thing they say is don't follow the puck. Find open space. Don't get mesmerized by the puck. Try to anticipate where the puck is. He did such a nice job of, you could see him sit back, read the play, kind of wait, see what Flyers were going to do, and then just subtly slid right into the slot, had a wide open net, and took his time with it. Didn't rush it, was just super patient.
Do you ever look at the Edge visualize the goal visualizer on NHL.com?
I do not.
So it's fun. I'm upset. It's like a telestrator. It's just dots. Instead of watching the highlight, you're just watching.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I use that all the time in my breakdowns.
So as you were describing that, I was watching it because I honestly couldn't remember the goal. So I was like, what is she talking about? So while you were describing it, I was watching the Edge visualizer, and I was like, oh yeah, now I can see it in my head. And you're right. He collected the puck, and I think it was either last summer or this summer. All the summers have jumbled into my head in recent memory for health reasons. But Jim Fox talked about how Quentin Byfield was working on his shot and how he would begin scoring from distance. And to me, that goal was a perfect example of what Jim was talking about. You're right,
it was a little bit up in the zone, like past the hash marks, right?
Yeah, it was like maybe 15 feet out or something like that. But he wasn't.
Do you see how
close.
patient he was, though?
Yeah,
he didn't rush it. He didn't panic. It was just.
And you can see it, as goofy as this is, you can see it on the visualizer with the dots because the dots just.
What do we officially call that? NHL Edge? See,
I'm just reading it off the screen. It's the Edge goal visualizer.
See, in Arena, I refer to it to our player puck tracking look because
I usually just call it the dots.
I love that look. It's amazing, and it's like, but that play is so. That just is the example of everything you're talking about. I mean, if you were a coach and you were trying to do, offensive zone entry plays, that's it. That's a play right there. Here's what we're going to do. It's going to create, and it speaks to kind of this theme that we're talking about where there's this level of, hey, let's go out and do our job. And they're able to execute it a lot well.
And while I felt that period was incredibly boring for the most part, internally, the feeling seems to be that period was incredibly well played, and it did end with them up 1-0. So credit where credit is due. They have that going for them.
Relentless, nonetheless. Under a minute to go, you're still going at it. That's pretty good,
1-0. Anytime the Kings are scoring a goal in the first or last minute of a period versus getting scored on in the dying moments, it's a good thing. All right, then I guess it's time to crown your King of the Week. So who do you got?
Okay, my King of the Week. Okay, I will say, going into Sunday night's game, I was going to make a little asterisk. It was going to be Artemi Panarin on the power play.
Okay.
It is just Artemi Panarin. And this is me being a genuine hockey fan and being kind of insufferable. Now, obviously, we'll work backwards. Against Utah, scores the game-tying goal. That was weird. Proof that, hey, if you just throw the puck at the net, anything can happen for sure. And I think it's safe to say, because the vibe on the ice felt like everybody was a little shocked. But going back to the power play, we have of 4 games this week, we saw a power play goal in 3 of them, 0 for 1 tonight. Again, kind of goes into this physical, and I think the theme of why that Philadelphia period was so smiled upon is because it really exemplified this physical yet disciplined, maybe identity that this team has hoped they would find at some point this season. But the Breadman alone power play goal on Thursday was absolutely disgusting. I don't know if you remember this. The one where
I'm watching the edge goal
yes,
visualizer right now.
it was disgusting. Oh my gosh, this thing was just nasty. He's over there on the left side, and it was just a, for lack of a better word, absolute snipe. Just it, oh my gosh. And it's cool like how people might not know this. It's a little unique. A lot of times when you travel around press boxes, everybody's just thrown in there together. It's a little cramped, and it's not the best situation. No complaints. Okay, we're getting paid to watch the game, but Crypto.com has the home team on one side, and then kind of a section for everybody else. Right? I think that's a good way to describe it. But the LA Kings get their own section. I'm right in front of the elevators because I have to book it down to my spot for intermissions. I'm sitting up to the left of me are some PR people. To the right of me are the LA Kings insiders, Jared and Dooley. And then kind of down in the second row, there's a bunch of scouts in front of me. Theoretically, they weren't there. It was pretty empty. And then down I can see the social team. And then Andre Kuzmenko. Andre Kuzmenko was there.
Right.
And when I say that this goal on Thursday, this power play goal, it was so fun because you're trying to be professional, right? When there's a goal, this, you're
no cheering in the press box.
There's no cheering. Yeah. Okay, that goal, everybody did an audible. Oh, yeah. Oh, what was like? Nobody could not react. Kuzi jumped up. He was like, "That was so good," because it just was one of those that you're like, that's how the game is supposed to be played. Then on Saturday, he comes back, tries to do it again. Ends up being like a little bit of a change up that also works. I mean, it just feels like the guy's magic at this point. That power play prior to tonight, they were in the month of March, ranked 5th in the league. Now, after today, they're 7th, going 0 for 1 on the power play. That's still pretty good, top 10. Going back to your point, right? We had, for me, this kind of sums out this honorable mention to runner-up to Artemi Panarin being my king of the week. DJ Smith at that introductory press conference, he said, we got to figure out not just our identity, but our identity on the power play. And I think this week has been the first week as somebody who covers this team where it's been able to be like, okay, I think we're seeing an identity.
So they're 30% in the 4 games on the power play.
Oh, well done. Good. There you go. Yeah. See, we're crunching numbers over here.
Yeah. And for the record, in your first appearance joining me to do Crown a King of the Week, you have correctly named the King of the Week because I also picked Panarin as my King of the Week.
Heck yeah.
And good. I talked about this last week with the Bannerman and with Sam Batesh the week before that, and I think with Zach Dooley the week before that. Panarin's been eligible to be King of the Week for 4 weeks. He only isn't the King of the Week 4 weeks in a row because last week it was Kopitar but like otherwise it would have been Panarin. Like it would have been, he would have been.
Kopitar also was a hard yes. non-honorable mention this week.
For sure.
He's on a 5-game point streak prior to today. It feels like he broke that record and he was like, "Ooh, I'm feeling."
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest here. Like the post-Panarin version of Kopitar it's like watching a different person from the first 60 games of the season.
Panarin shows us. Tell me if I'm crazy here. This is an opinion. Panarin is the guy that shows us why Kopitar is so good. Like,
yeah, sure.
He really is that guy as far as hockey IQ goes and being able to allow a great player like that just the ability to be great.
Yeah, the number of times the two of them have connected on goals where you go, okay, I don't know that anybody else would have either seen the this is a few weeks ago, but the goal against the Islanders where Kopitar was off on the boards getting smushed by 3 different people and Panarin was just hanging out in front of the goal and Kopitar found him. Or then plays where Panarin finds Kopitar. Yeah, I mean it's again, it's almost annoying because you're like, oh, this is how simple it was. You just find somebody good for him to play with.
Oh, yeah, so this is how this works. Well,
Yeah.
no, and to your point, I mean, that power play goal in the Buffalo game was the same thing. That it kind of looked like a whiff, but it ended up being a off-speed shot that went in. Do you remember
Yeah.
this
And
from
yes,
yesterday?
no, I definitely
And
remember it because
Kopitar,
Lukanen was, I don't know what he was doing, but
Zach Dooley did a little freeze frame screenshot. You can
yeah.
go scroll through his tweets. I refuse to call it X, so we're calling it Twitter.
Same.
He he but he did a little screenshot where he was like, Kopitar hangs onto the puck, doesn't
Mhm.
panic, stays patient with it, draws like everybody, the entire PK box for Buffalo draws over to Andrei Kopitar's little, dot, if you want to go look at the player puck tracking or the edge
Mhm.
tracker. And then you got Artemi Panarin just hanging out alone all by himself. Like, oh, okay. And then he did a little like no look backhanded pass to 10, and then he ends up finding the back of the net. I mean, it's just like, which is perfect because I think also the like theme with this team has been, a lot of times we're right there, or okay, yeah,
We're not
like,
allowed to use that phrase. Sorry.
oh, absolutely. Okay. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it's very much, okay, that was really great. Oh my gosh, you had a great neutral zone entry, and then, oh wow, like everybody's in the right position, but oh, like your stick broke or something like that. It just feels
Mhm.
like can't get a break. And with him, he's brought this feeling that's like, ah, okay, we're doing it. Especially today, if you saw on that goal, on the game timing goal that came with 3:30 left.
Yeah.
Great offensive zone entry. Absolutely fabulous offensive zone entry. Ends up losing the puck a little bit, doesn't panic, recovers, throws it at the net, somehow ties the game, sends us to overtime. And again, it's fine. I know we've heard this a lot as fans, but you still get a point. You
Yeah.
still get a point. You go to overtime, you still get a point, and that is a point much needed right now.
So you and I have talked about a lot of things privately, but I don't think we've ever talked about this. And so apologies in advance if I'm about to invalidate your worldview.
No, that's okay.
I don't believe in magic or ghosts or fate or astrology or
Oh, you don't believe in
fortunes,
astrology?
any of
No.
that stuff. But
I read my CoStar app every day, and that is,
okay.
I don't start my day unless I do.
But when it comes to hockey, I
Oh,
absolutely,
you're a little
positively,
woo-woo.
I
Oh,
100%
yeah.
do. And so Artemi Panarin this week alone, his goal against Buffalo and his goal against Utah were,
Got you feeling woo-woo, doesn't it?
if Jeff Malott scored either of those goals by himself out of nowhere, I would just go, okay, good for him. He got lucky.
But if it's the bread man, if it's
Well,
Panera, you're feeling it.
if it's the same guy constantly getting quote unquote lucky, I start to go, okay, it can't be luck. So I don't know what it is. And I've said before of different players, I believe in the power of stories, which is sort of my BS cover for woo. But I just believe that some people have a story, and at some point the story gains momentum, and the momentum of the story is enough to carry the person through whatever the next challenge in their life is. And Artemi Panarin is operating at a certain level of momentum where, like, yeah, that goal he scored today against Utah was nonsense. Like, you can't tell me he thought that
Why
was going
did
in.
that go in?
No,
How
exactly.
did that go in?
You can't tell me a single human being when the puck left his stick thought that goal was going in. But he didn't have to shoot it. And it did go in. And that's why you shoot it. And so
I have a wooden dresser, an authentically wooden dresser. My desk is definitely like fake IKEA wood. So I'm gonna knock on the wood here. Dare I say, it does feel, and I think this is the overall vibe of the week, despite having, let's see, I do have to reflect it. I mean, only one win this week, but snagging 4 of 6 possible points. Again, I'm so sorry. That's been said so much this year.
4 of 8,
But
by the way.
this field 4 of 8. Did I 2, 4? Oh, you're right. It's 4 of 8. I'm so sorry. To preface this, before we do our pregame segments, me and Zach Dooley, I review numbers with him. I'm wrong every single time. Like, just to throw this out there, I didn't do well in elementary statistics open book in college, so there's no world where I'm gonna, please, dear God, correct me. I apologize. I did write down the numbers. That's the more embarrassing part. That it says 4 of 6.
Well, it was 4 of. I mean, there were all right. I was going to try and reverse engineer it, but whatever.
You're being very nice to me. I appreciate it. But still, and that's such an annoying narrative. But dare I say, this is the first week that it's felt as if the hockey gods are in our favor. I'll take it.
Yeah, well, especially Thursday and Saturday, which I believe were the 6th and 7th time in NHL history that every team from one division played. How crazy was that? Yeah, unfortunately, freaking Nashville has come out of nowhere.
They did emerge, especially today, and the broadcast did a great job of updating us throughout the night. And by the end of the game, I was like, well, that's not fun. Absolutely, for sure.
Here's the most annoying part of it. If you look at the standings on NHL.com, it'll give you the current streaks of every team. The final, like it shows you the wins, losses, points percentage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then the last column is streaks. So San Jose, 4 losses in a row. Seattle, 3 losses in a row. Nashville Predators, 4 wins in a row. And you just go, oh, come on, man.
Come on. And that's why, you know what? Okay. Since we're we got Jesse Cohen on the woo-woo vibe. So I'm just going to ride that wave. We're going to manifest this. Okay. We're going to speak it into existence. I know what you're thinking. You're on the superstitious vibe where you're like, if I want something good to happen, I shouldn't even speak about it because I don't want to jinx it. Having said that, though, there's a quite possibility that all of this season, all of the ups and downs of this season, there's a world where a lot of the stats are trending in an upward direction of, dare I say, this team streaking at the right time. So, dare I say, they string together some wins here to finish off the season.
Well, so I was saying this for a few weeks now. Edmonton I just think that the number 3 spot in the Pacific is a much more worthy goal than wild card 2, because wild card 2 you wind up playing Colorado, and the reality is that the gap between wild card 2 and third place in the Pacific is not that big. And in fact, the Kings held wild card 2 for a hot second before Nashville went on their stupid win streak. And you know, Edmonton is on a 2-game losing streak. Vegas won, so they're on a 1-game win streak. But like Vegas and Edmonton are vulnerable. So I don't know. I get a lot of questions of people asking if Kopitar might return for another year just because of how good he's playing with Panarin. And while I don't think the answer is yes, I have to confess that like there's a little part of me that's like, well,
this is fun.
They really do play well together. So like, I don't know. I really don't think he would. But yeah, anyway, so let me I got to say, congratulations, Artemi Panarin, once again, this week's King of the Week. So you're in the building. You're doing these intermission hits and pregame hits and postgame hits. And I see you. I don't go down for the post game. What do you ever try and make it into the post game media stuff, or is your schedule too tough to try and?
So no, you want to know what? Beginning of the season, because I do cover college volleyball quite frequently. I would leave the game before.
Yeah, you were trying to catch flights. I remember.
I was there was like 3 weeks where I like slept in my own bed once, and I was just living out of a suitcase. And I showed up to Kings games, and I was like, "Hey, I wore this outfit last week. It's fine. Like, don't worry about it. Just nobody get too close." I have this Downy like spray for refresh. It's pretty gross. I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
I'm a big avid user of deodorant. That's all I can say. So I do the 60 and 60s, and with Crypto.com Arena being the busiest arena in the world, sometimes I'm a little crunched to go get that done. I have figured out a new method. Moral of the story is I'm usually in for coach press conference, but player interviews, I'm not necessarily in the room for those. And I have grown very, I'll say, used to the fact that this team does post every media availability. And so if I do miss something, I'm not panicked. In other scenarios, if I'm covering some other sport, oftentimes I'm panicked. And it's a little bit, it's very nice with this team. But definitely catch the vibe because I'm walking around down there. And then I'll be super honest here. I have had the realization that with where the team is right now, I mean, what a time to cover a team like this where they're making a playoff push. It's so much fun. I have figured out a new method in which to film those 60 and 60s that requires me to be at home where I am right now with a microphone that is good and not miniature and not with a Zamboni going on behind me. So in the future, I will be in there.
Fair enough. I don't think I've talked about this before on All the King's Men, but since we brought up woo-woo and horoscopes, I saw this on Reddit and I'm fascinated by it. The 2026 NHL entry draft is supposed to be really deep, and so people have been talking about the importance of draft picks in this upcoming draft.
You must love, because you love the draft.
I don't, but but I saw this wild thread on Reddit that instantly made me roll my eyes. But then I took a beat and I kept reading, and it said, and I was just trying to figure this out. Whatever I'm not super familiar with the Chinese zodiac, but whatever year it is that the year that the kids would be born in order to be eligible in 2027. I want to say it's the year of the horse, but I could be wrong. I think that might be just next year. But anyway, the person said if you go back and look at the best drafts in NHL history, they're all it's 12-year cycles. And they were like, look, if you work backwards from 2027, you get 2015, which is known to be one of the best draft years. Then if you go back 12 years from that, it's 2003, which is inarguably one of the best draft years of all time. And then if you go back 12 years from that, you get to 1991. And that's where I was like, okay, this is where this falls apart, because in 2023, the hockey infrastructure had developed so that drafts were like a thing and teams had scouting staffs. And like prior to that, it was kind of the wild, wild west where you go like, okay, you just guys would get reputations. And so you go, okay, people know who they were. So I went and I was like, all right, but surely the 1991 hockey draft wasn't that big a deal because that would continue the pattern. And then I went back and I looked and I went, oh, Eric Lindros, Scott Niedermayer, Pete Forsberg.
Oh, well, there you go.
I went, oh, okay. Kovalev, Naslund, Brzezinski, Murray. I was like,
all this to say is Jesse Cohen on his woo-woo vibe? Yeah, I think he is.
Listen, it's a very small sample size. It could just be coincidence, but every 12 years, there appears to be an incredibly strong draft. So maybe 2027. Maybe 2027 is the year to look for draft picks, which is also not that there weren't busts in those years. Because if you anybody who remembers 2003, if I remember correctly, I think his name was Hugh Jessamine, otherwise known as the Huge Specimen. But the 2003 NHL entry draft, yeah, it was Hugh Jessamine. So you go through the 2003, and it's like Marc-Andre Fleury, Eric Stahl, Nathan Hurton, Nikolai Zhurdov, Thomas Vanek, Milan Mikulchek, Ryan Suter, Braden Coburn, Dion Phaneuf. It's like the first 9 picks are dynamite. Then you get Andrei Kostitsyn, who's like, oh, okay, he only played 400 games, but, it's the Russian thing, whatever. Then you get Jeff Carter. And then at 12, you have Hugh Jessamine, who played 2 NHL games. It's like the one guy in the whole round. And you go, oh.
And then even after that, these names,
yeah, Dustin Brown, Brent Seabrook, Zach Parise gets last Burns. No, 2003 is
Brian Boyle
is the one.
Corey Perry,
Mike Richards. Yeah, no, and even when you get into the second round, you get Louis.
No, it just keeps
Patrice
going.
Bergeron. No, 2003 is bonkers. Shea Weber, and then you even down into the third round, you get Clark MacArthur, Daniel Carcillo, Colin Frazier. The fourth round, you have Brian Bitz or Jan Heda, like guys who had careers. Lee Stempniak was in the fifth round. Anyway, we don't need to. But the point is every 12 years. Joe Pavelski was a seventh round pick in that draft. So it just goes to show you.
That shows you everything. Sheesh.
Yeah. Tobias Enstrom, Dustin Byfuglien, eighth round picks. Each of them played more than 700 games. It's psychotic. So 2027, that's if you take away anything from this episode, it's that Artemi Panarin is really, really, really good. And every 12 years, whether by coincidence or the power of the Chinese Zodiac, there is.
And Jesse Cohen is now going to download his CoStar app. And every time I see him at Crypto.com Arena, I'm going to be like, what kind of day are we having, Jesse?
Unfortunately, that will not happen unless someone's unless CoStar wants to pay me to do it.
I'm going to learn your astrology sign, and I'm going to bring you a mug that says.
Well, generally speaking, I wouldn't do this, but my birthday was 4 days ago, so it should be pretty easy to figure out.
Perfect. So are you? See? Oh my gosh, you're an Aries.
Pisces.
Oh, you're Pisces. We're in Aries season now. Perfect. Okay, good to know, everybody. See, that was just proof. Did you see what I did there?
You got it out of him.
I got it out of him. There it was. Excellent. I had him confirmed.
Yeah. All right, that's going to wrap it up, Hannah.
That's why I did it.
Thank you so much for joining me, and thanks for listening, Kings fans. We'll talk to you soon.